Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com. This is another RHCSA practice video. Um, Today's topic is going to be off of the exam objectives, and the particular exam objective we're going to look at today is the login and switch users in multi-user targets under the Understand and Use Essential Tools piece of the RHCSA exam. As with these other practice videos I've done, remember these aren't designed to be like necessarily authoritative information, but rather it's me going through a practice session of these concepts to kind of test myself to see if I am confident about the topics for the RHCSA exam. And then at the same time, you, my viewer watching this, might find some way that you haven't thought of practicing a particular thing, or I might explain something in a way that makes a little more sense to you than whatever material you're using to practice. As with any video, if you enjoy the content, make sure you click like. Also subscribe to the channel so you can be aware of when I make some new content. So here we are on my CentOS 8 machine, and the first thing I want to dig into with this particular exam objective is the wording of the objective itself. It says log in and switch users in multi-user targets. So the target that we're currently in here on the VM is not a multi-user target. It's a graphical target because we have our GNOME shell here, the graphical user interface. But I can go into a terminal as well. This doesn't make it be a multi-user target just yet. If you're curious what target is loaded, you can do systemctl lit, no dashes yet, list units -- type target. We see that graphical target is one of the units that's loaded. I am going to SSH into one of my other lab servers. So Eddie at, what do I call that, rel 8, I think, practice 1 ejslab.com. Yep. Now here I've logged into the server, but obviously I don't have a graphical user interface. So the target that's currently loaded here, if I were to do that same systemctl list unit type target, list units plural. It's one little annoying thing about systemctl for me. Sometimes I forget which of their commands use like plural versus singular. Anyway, what am I doing wrong? Should be type target. Yeah, I did. I don't know what I'm thinking. So multi-user target, and for me, I think a multi-user target is your standard non-graphical interface that you're in. If you're just at the console looking at your machine, you're in the multi-user target. So the objective is to be able to switch users in a multi-user target. So I'm going to go ahead and become root. If I don't fat finger the password too many times, clear my screen. And I'm going to make a user. We'll just do user add, do Saris. That's a name of a character that I play in Project 99 EverQuest, and also a character name that has appeared in some other RPG stuff that I've done. So I've made user Saris. So if I do ID Saris, there he is. Let me make a password for Saris. It's going to complain because I'm using a very poor password. So here is Saris. So let me go back to the Eddie account. So I am in this other server. I'm in the multi-user target, and if I wanted to switch users to Saris, the command that I'm going to use for that is the su command. So if I were to do just su Saris, last four password, and now I am logged in as Saris. If I do who am I, Saris. Now there I would imagine on the exam, if there's the objective that we need to SU into an account or it says here log in and switch users in multi-user target, there's a couple things to think about as far as logging in versus not. So yes, I just logged in as Saris, but the prompt that I'm at, the shell that I'm in, is not a login shell. This is just an interactive shell. If you were to use the SU command and want to get to a login shell, we have to pass it the -l parameter. So su-l Saris. All right, and now I'm here, right? So a couple of things to note that are different. Notice that the prompt, if I were to do print working directory, I'm in home Saris, right? If I were to exit this, just su Saris without the -l, I'm still in home/Eddie. It's because again the just su without -l is literally taking your current session and changing into another user, versus su-l is actually logging in to a login shell for that user. And just to kind of give you proof positive on this, if I were to let me exit this, go back in as the login, actually log into a login shell as Saris. Let's try that again with the correct password. There we go. So, when you log in as a login shell, it gives you a little bit of login information. That's one way to tell. But another thing you can do, we're going to do ls-a. We have some of the bash scripts. Bash profile is loaded with a login shell. Bash RC is loaded without a login shell. So if I were to, or rather, when you do a login shell, well, let's do it this way. Let's just VI into bash profile. So when you're on a login shell, it's going to load bash RC as well. So login shell is bash profile and bash RC. Just your shell, no login, is going to be bash RC. So something you can do if we wanted to see if we were using a login shell. This is kind of a long way to do it, but it gives you a visual way of seeing here. If I were to just add a line to this, echo login shell, let's see, bash RC not yet loaded. I'm going to do another echo line here. Echo login shell bash RC has since loaded. All right, I'm going to save. I'm going to fix my spelling error there. I'll save that like using :X, and then let's go into bash RC. And here we have more stuff, and then of course it calls the etc bash RC as well. And add a line here at the end, echo bash RC has loaded. If no other messages, this is not a login shell. All right, let's exit. Let's see what happens. So we're going to SU Saris. Bash RC is loaded, no other messages, not a login shell. All right, so there, clearly bash RC loaded. If I were to exit and then su-l Saris, and do the right password. Huh, I was not expecting to see this here, but I was expecting to see login shell bash RC is not loaded yet. Echo login shell bash RC has since loaded. I was not expecting to see this in the middle, so I'm kind of curious. Let's look at Etsy profile and see why that would be there. So let's do that. VI bash profile, or not Etsy profile, but bash profile. Suppose it still doesn't make sense. Why? I see. Yep, quotation mark. I missed it there too. Now I'm worried. Let me go back into just bash RC, see if I made that same mistake. I don't think I did though. No, I didn't. Okay, so let's try this again. So let me exit out. su-l Saris. That's what I expected to see. So we have that first line of the Etsy profile, or not Etsy profile, I keep saying that, the bash profile, dot bash underscore profile. Then it ran the dot bash rc file, which I added that echo line to. And this one I added if no other messages is not a login shell. And this is the last echo line that I added to the dot bash profile. So short little video, but the short answer of logging in and switching users in multi-user target is you use the su command, and then you need to be conscious of whether or not you want to do that to a login shell or interactive shell. The login shells there's a potential of having some other things that are available to you, like environment variables and such, that you might not have with just the interactive shell. So just be aware of the two, and then a way as you're practicing this to tell if you're using a login shell or not is you can make some alterations to the .bash underscore profile and .bash rc files to see if you are in a login shell or not. So hope this was useful for you. For me, I was prior to making this video pretty well aware of how to do the logging in and switching of users, but it's kind of nice when you're studying this, and I suggest you do this when you're studying for any exam, but especially RHCSA, is to try to teach what you're doing. Because if you find yourself kind of tripping over your own words and you're not sure how things are going to work, then maybe you don't know the subject matter as well as you think you do. So regardless, as always, thanks for taking the time to watch. If you enjoyed it, click like, also subscribe and ring the bell, and I will see you the next time.